What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a bit of an NBA discussion video to talk about, this time actually revolving around the Philadelphia 76ers and the Sacramento Kings and Buddy Hield, and why I think the Philadelphia 76ers should be looking to trade Al Horford in a deal to try and get Buddy Hield from the Sacramento Kings. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of it, I'll give you a bit of a recap on really the season that Sacramento have kind of had. I mean, it hasn't exactly been the greatest season. A lot of people were saying they could have had, a playoffs in their sights, or they might just finish out of it. Well, at the time of making this video, they're actually 23 and 33. They're not doing exactly that good at all, and they decided to give Buddy Hield a contract extension about at the start of the season. He's actually been alright, for the most part of this season, but he's had a lot of issues with the Sacramento Kings this season, where he pretty much called them out, saying that no one else is going to really want to come here. Might as well sign me on the money that I want to be, sign on, which I believe is about $22 million for 4 years or something, really on the, on the lines of that. And yeah, it was kind of a bit of a rough patch of, really, Sacramento weren't exactly doing that great. He wanted an extension on this amount of money. Sacramento wanted it to be a little bit lower, but he pretty much said, well, no one else is going to come here. Might as well, it was a bit of a problem and an issue, but there's also been reports saying that Buddy Hield is actually also very unhappy with the Sacramento Kings and could look to actually request a trade at the end of the, season. And with the way Sacramento Kings are going, obviously it doesn't look like they are going to be making playoffs at all. Even though they have been better recently, it does still look like they are pretty much not going to be making playoffs. But again, a lot of things could still potentially change. But at this time, the Philadelphia 76ers, although on the other hand, are currently playing, pretty decent. There's been a lot of chemistry issues on the court with them as well, because they decided to sign Al Horford, and then Joel Embiid and Al Horford, they just haven't been playing well as a double center, front court. And then obviously now that Al Horford has been playing a lot of power forward this season, it hasn't exactly worked out that great. So they decided to move Al Horford to the bench, and meanwhile he's making $25 million for 4 seasons, so quite a lot of money for a bench player, and he's putting up about 11.9 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 3.8 assists on 32.4% from 3, and yeah, still good defense. But in the previous season he was 36% from 3, and the previous season before that he was 43%, I do believe. So his 3-point accuracy has definitely gone down quite a bit, and I think that bringing him off the bench now, not being with Joel Embiid, is definitely a lot better of a situation. But in my opinion, I think Buddy Hield would be a very good player for them to potentially put on the Philadelphia 76ers, because one thing that Philadelphia have always struggled for a bit now is a spacing. And even though they just traded for Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson, who are decent 3-point shooters, Josh Richardson's a decent 3-point shooter, Tobias Harris has been off this season, Ben Simmons can't shoot threes at all pretty much, Al Horford hasn't been able to really shoot threes that well this season either, and Joel Embiid is just, I'd say, average from the 3-point line. So it's not exactly the best situation. They got Korkmaz, who's been a decent 3-point shooter. Mike Scott is, he was decent, but he's now kind of pretty average. Like, he hasn't been doing well from 3 all this season. And Thibault is pretty decent from 3-point range as well. Although, the starters that I mentioned, let's just say, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Josh Richardson, and now, we'll say Al Horford, because he was starting for most of the season. There's only like one player in that starting lineup that can shoot threes consistently, and that's pretty much Josh Richardson. And even he, as a good 3-point shooter, he's only 33% from this season, which is actually worse than Joel Embiid and I believe Tobias Harris. So it's not a good site exactly for them spacing at all. Although how I think they can change this is Al Horford, who's now coming off the bench and hasn't exactly been that great for them, so far this season, especially with spacing issues and all that type of stuff. I think it'd be really good for them to try and, trade him to the Sacramento Kings for Buddy Hield, as, I'll get into this a little bit later, but I also think the Sacramento Kings could definitely use Al Horford, and it make a lot of sense for them to trade for him. Now, Buddy Hield is currently averaging 20.4 points per game, 5 rebounds and 3.3 assists on 38.5% from 3. So he has been very, very good from 3-point range this season. And let's just say you add him to the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers get a very good 3-point shooter who can still play high minutes, and he's on $3 million less a season than what Al Horford is. So that is just a very, very good trade, in my opinion, for the Philadelphia 76ers, and it would make a lot of sense for the Sacramento Kings as well, because if we have a look at Sacramento and their roster right now, the center Richaun Holmes, who has been pretty decent so far this season, he's actually injured at the moment, I do believe, and has been missing quite a bit of games for the Sacramento Kings. They've got Marvin Bagley, who's a power forward / center, who's only played 13 games this season. They just traded for Alex Lamb, but he'll most likely leave in free agency, and I doubt they will try and re-sign him. They got Harry Giles, who only plays about 13 minutes per game. Out of all of those centers, they're either injured or don't play much minutes. I think Al Horford would be extremely good for them to potentially have, as they can move Marvin Bagley back to power forward. Marvin Bagley will hopefully get off his injury. Richaun Holmes can come off the bench. They'll obviously not sign Alex Len, and Harry Giles, who knows, might seek a trade, or, yeah, because I don't know how he really fits on this team. I mean, he barely even plays, so, again, I'm not necessarily too sure how that is going to go, but if they do get Al Horford, again, Bagley can start at power forward, and Holmes can come off the bench. That is really good, and Horford can still play 30 minutes, and it just gives them another veteran to help out with the younger guys, and a player who can still play 30 minutes a game, and yeah, actually has playoff experience, and knows how to get to the playoffs. So, I think this would be a very good trade for the Sacramento Kings. Now, I don't know if it would be a straight trade. I think it would be like Al Horford and a first-round pick for Buddy Hield, because in my opinion, Buddy Hield's a lot better. He's younger, and he's on a bit of a cheaper contract. But yeah, it's not like Al Horford doesn't have very much value. He is still a very, high-regarded player, in my opinion. I still think he's a very decent player, and someone that I think the Sacramento Kings could definitely use on their team. But there's also another player that Sacramento have that I think Philadelphia could target, and that's Bielitsa as well. Bielitsa, who's only on a $7 million deal. It'd be pretty interesting for the Philadelphia 76ers to target him, as he's 44.8% from 3. So if the Philadelphia 76ers could get him as well, they pretty much, add 2 very good 3-point shooters for Al Horford and maybe another player and a couple of picks or something like that. In my opinion, that would be a very good move from, the Philadelphia 76ers, and it makes a lot of sense for the Sacramento Kings as well, as I still feel like desperately need a center, as Bagley's injured, Alex Lamb will most likely go on free agency, and Richaun Holmes has also been injured for a little bit now too, and I think would be pretty interesting to bring him off the bench as well. And yeah, Giles, who knows, might eventually get waived or potentially traded, or just be a 14th man or something in the rotation. But anyone, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content and NBA news. Don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on the Sacramento Kings potentially trading for, Al Horford potentially, or the Philadelphia 76ers trading for Buddy Hield? Do you guys think one of these teams, should potentially do it or start negotiations? I definitely would really like to know your thoughts and opinions on it all down below. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels. Links for them are in the description down below. And go check out my podcast as well if you guys haven't already. Links for that are in the description down below as well. I talk about NBA content, NBA news, AFL content, just really sports related content in general on there. So definitely go check that out. Links for that are in the description down below. So as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.